Greetings, Cyclone Hockey fans, and welcome to the first episode of the Murdoch Show for the new year, 2012. I'm your host, Kevin Way, and I'm joined by the namesake of the show, Cyclone Hockey General Manager and Head Coach, Dr. Alan Murdoch. Coach, as I asked in the last semester, we'll start the same way this year. Any comments before we get rolling?
Man alive, it's great to be alive in sunny Iowa in 2012. Happy New Year, Kevin.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, Coach. Definitely glad I was able to make it on the drive up from the Des Moines area. Well, I guess we have a pretty dang good show in store for you tonight. We'll be talking a little bit later with Cyclone Hockey Player of the Week, David Kurbatsky. We'll also be previewing this weekend's highly important matchup against the University of Illinois. But first, we have a number of weekends of Cyclone Hockey to talk about, and I think we'll talk about at least the most recent ones first. We'll go with the first weekend, Indiana. 2 weekends ago, first night, a 3-2 win, if memory serves correctly. The second night, 5-4 shootout loss. But let's talk about that first night first. There's the team's first road win on a Friday night, so they got over that hump. What would you say were the keys towards getting over that hump?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is getting the guys back January 1st, New Year's Day, practicing, going 2-a-days, doing dryland training. I thought we were in the best shape. I thought we were pretty much in control that game. The score at 3-2 really, they scored one late. We were actually had 3-1, so I thought we could have put them away a lot more solid. Saturday we came out of the blocks just a little bit slow and let them jump out to a 2-0 lead. And, it seemed like we didn't play as well when we're coming from behind as we do when we're in the lead. So we're going to try to make an effort to be in the league throughout the rest of the season.
Actually, the best and easiest way to go. Actually, the team did draw even in that final minute of Saturday's game when Brian Rooney scored that huge goal. Talk a little bit about the emotions on the bench and the joy, and then also I guess maybe, for lack of a better word, the disappointment after losing the shootout.
Oh, you bet. It's kind of a roller coaster ride. Coaching hockey and playing hockey. We were down by 2 goals. We came back and got down by 1 goal, and it was a good third period. I thought we had the opportunity to score several times. It wasn't until less than a minute to go we pulled our goaltender and put Rooney in as the 6th player, and man alive, he hopped on a rebound and buried it to tie the game. Usually, there's pretty good momentum, and I felt we had the momentum in the overtime. As a matter of fact, we outshot Indiana 6-3 in overtime and just couldn't quite get it by their goaltender. He was playing really outstanding. And then in the shootout, we scored, they scored, we scored, they scored. We didn't score, and they scored to win it. So normally if you score twice in a shootout, you win. But, their snipers were working pretty hard, and they got away with a shootout win. Indiana is probably one of the more improved teams in the country.
That was going to be one of my later questions. Talk about Indiana, because they're newer in the ACHA D1 rank, so talk about the improvements you've seen out of them over these last few years. Yeah,
I think it's a matter of their program's growing. It seems as though there's been a sudden movement upwards of all the Big Ten schools, with Penn State getting that $100 million contribution to go full Division I with scholarships. I think Indiana is one of the ones that's considering that option and has some money backers that are talking about it. Illinois, same thing. So quite a bit of momentum, and Indiana would be a good location for an NCAA scholarship school, and would certainly fit into that new Big Ten league that's going to start next fall very well.
Absolutely. The player is named Player of the Week out of that weekend, Brian Rooney. Brian Rooney was also Player of the Week last week of the first semester, so twice in a row, 3 times so far this season. And in my opinion, Brian has just been playing lights-out hockey since early November. So tell me a little bit about, in your opinion, what it is that has helped Brian take his game up even an additional notch.
He's just Mr. Hustle. He's playing real hard. He's playing like we expect seniors in their last year of education, last year of hockey to play, just not holding back at all. He's got good work ethic. He's always one of the first guys out at practice. He doesn't mind telling guys, to carry their load as much as possible, and he gets after it. He's very fearless on the ice, and one of the hardest workers on the ice and off the ice.
It shows. The past weekend, team played Kent State Golden Flashes, ranked 22nd in the ACHA, and the team came away with 6-1 victory Friday night, and even a little bit better, 7-1 Saturday night. So I guess, how did it feel to put up those type of scores against a pretty respectable opponent?
You bet. Kent State has a great reputation for hockey, positive reputation, and they're very well coached. So I knew we had to just come out of the blocks as best we could, and I thought that was the biggest plus on both nights is scoring 2 goals unanswered in the first period of both games. That put Kent State behind the wall, and so to speak, of having to try to catch up with us all the time, and that just opened the door for more goals for us both nights. We scored very balanced scoring all 3 periods by a lot of different players, with the exception of Kurbatsky on Saturday night. He got a hat trick, but pretty good balanced scoring. I think we had something like 11, maybe 12 different players score, get points over the 2 nights, and that's what we're looking for.
Certainly helps. Makes it difficult for the opposition to focus on any one guy or even any one line. So obviously the team received some pretty good news on, I think it was December 16th. Alum Brent Cornelius signed with the Idaho Steelheads of the ECHL, and for fans who don't know, this is the league that's 2 steps from the NHL, so that's pretty huge to go direct from Cyclone Hockey to the ECHL. He's since been traded. That's a completed deal that Idaho had made previously with the Greenville Road Warriors, so he was considered that highly by them to complete a big trade for a goaltender who's now Idaho's starter. So things are going pretty good. So talk a little bit about the impact Brent signing the ECHL has on Cyclone Hockey.
Yeah, I think it's a huge positive. Brent, outstanding student in electrical engineering, and worked hard, paid his dues. He played 4 solid years for us. He was a co-captain and finally captain. His final couple of years. Just showed great leadership on the ice and off the ice. I couldn't wish a player better, but like a lot of these players, even when they get a great degree from Iowa State, like electrical engineering, the itch to play more hockey is always there. He scrimmaged against us with the Huntsville Havoc, and I knew he had the ability to step it up. He's one of the best skaters I've ever had, one of the best passers, one of the best shooters. His shot is unrivaled, although Brody Toigo is right in that same category. And 2 years ago, I played them as defensive partners a lot at full strength. I double shifted them a lot. They played in the power play. They played in penalty killing, and it was a pretty awesome pair. To have Brody Toigo back now, is a huge plus for us, and he's another one that a year or 2 down the road could be in the same boat as Brent Cornelius. But real proud of Brent Cornelius. Eric Hudson's doing real well, playing pro. Mike Liebler doing very well. Matt Cohen doing very well. And Glenn DeTulio, of course, graduate from 10 or 11 years ago. So we've got quite a few alums from Iowa State. They all have their degrees in their hip pocket, playing at the top level.
As you talk, one of the impacts Brent signing has, of course, is on recruiting. And recruiting started in earnest for Cyclone Hockey over December. Coach Tofty was out dealing with kids in Canada. You were all over the place. Coach McDonald's recruiting, Coach Sheehan, and even I was out recruiting up in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa. So talk a bit about what that, because again, ECHL 2 steps from the NHL.
Oh, you bet. That's absolutely huge. When we can show his picture or share articles with prospective players, they're very impressed. Number one, Iowa State's a tough school academically, and to be in engineering, that's extra tough. And then to match that with some of the best hockey in the country, Brent Cornelius played in the U.S. Hockey League. That's considered the best American junior hockey in the country. So that really opens up the door for lots more players just like that have great grades, that play great hockey, and are good citizens. That's a big combination for us. We'd like to give it a good run again this year, and keep people checking in with us on our website, which I know you have a great influence on that. And Coach Tofty, he's probably tuning in tonight too to the show because he likes to be able to use excerpts from the show, excerpts from the games, and excerpts from guys that have graduated playing all over the world to help recruiting. Eric Tofty, a good Iowa State graduate, who's our director of recruiting. So huge positive influence.
Certainly, Brent has the opportunity to open doors for other players and open a lot of eyes. Unfortunately, 2 days after we received the news of Brent's, of signing, we received the sad news of Marcus Andary's passing in St. Paul at the scene of an accident, trying to help a fellow motorist. For fans who are new and didn't know Marcus, talk a little bit about Marcus as a player, but then also as a person.
Yeah, 2 years ago when we started recruiting Marcus, for the same things I mentioned about Brent Cornelius, Marcus had outstanding grades. He was a good citizen from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. He played 2 years in Dubuque in the junior league. He was just a good all-around guy. His first year with us at Iowa State, he had a 4.0 both semesters. His freshman year, that's almost unheard of, although we've got a few guys on that track this year too. So we like the pattern that he set. So it's very shocking to our players, especially to the guys that had played with him this past year that were the same age and the same year in school. Absolutely shocking. We sent Brian Rooney and Derek Colas and John Feevel up with Janicki. They were all teammates here at Iowa State, and a couple of them played in Dubuque, Janicki and Colas. We sent them up to Michigan to the funeral. And, a very sad situation. You don't like seeing people leave before their time is due, but he did put a smile on a lot of people's faces, so there was a lot of good memories that were shared, not only up in Sault Ste. Marie for the funeral, but also last weekend we had Marcus Andary night, and a lot of the family were here for that event and were introduced to the crowd and got to shake hands and got to see Marcus's locker with his nameplate and the jersey in it. So trying to build as much positive out of a negative downer as we possibly can.
Certainly, Marcus was definitely a beloved teammate, friend, brother, and son. So the thoughts of those involved in Cyclone Hockey certainly go out to Marcus's family, friends back home, his girlfriend, and just all who knew him. So it's definitely a huge loss. So Marcus Andary was only 21. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to the Al Murdoch Show. Kevin Way here, your host, joined by Cyclone Hockey General Manager and Head Coach Dr. Alan Murdoch. And as you see on your screen here in a little bit, hopefully, Cyclone Hockey Player of the Week, David Kurbatsky. David, welcome to the show.
Man alive, we got to get the big screen going.
There
we go. Man, it's just like on the power play. You got to have Kurbatsky fill the whole picture.
All right. As Coach mentioned in the last segment, a big part of Cyclone Hockey isn't just moving on to plural hockey, although we love that. It's getting a degree and doing things later on in life. And one of the Cyclone Hockey alums, Joe Schaefer, moved on to play. Moved up to Minnesota, owns Minnesota Natural Landscapes.
Yep.
But this past weekend, involved in a special event, the Red Bull Crashed Ice World Championship, the first round of 4 rounds of the series of ice cross downhill. Coach, tell me about
it's
your
perfect
reaction.
for Joe Schaefer. When I recruited him, he was in high school. He played for the Holy Angels up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and he was literally known as the guy that just skated with reckless abandon. There wasn't anybody faster in the state of Minnesota. He just likes things with high speed. So skating was good. He's done some skidoo jets racing in the wintertime. He just likes things that just really move fast. And so the Red Bull competition, apparently there was 100,000 people watching that darn event up in Minneapolis, St. Paul last weekend. And literally what it is getting on skates and gear and going down a mountain, as fast as he can go. And it sounds like he made it by the first and second round. And he might have been one of the oldest competitors there, but they were giving him full exposure and full exposure that he was a former member of Iowa State University Cyclone Hockey. And we love that. And I haven't heard any reports recently. Hopefully he's okay and he's fine, but we'll be picking up on that, that's for sure. Joe Schaefer.
I was able to get an email from Joe just before I drove up. He's pleased with how he did. Was looking to perhaps do it again in the future. Very happy. He only came in with a few stitches in his knee.
Oh no!
So if you've fans, you'll have a chance to watch this weekend if you want. The final round of this is going to be broadcast on NBC from 1 o'clock to 3 p.m. Central Time as part of the Red Bull Signature Series. So if you want to see something perhaps crazier than you've ever seen, which is par for the course for anything Red Bull, you might want to tune in. So it's pretty crazy, but pretty cool. Back to Cyclone Hockey, though.
Yep.
On the ice, the non-mountain ramps and 16-foot tall bank turn type. Before the break, after our last show, we played Lindenwood, very tight series. Friday night, in the last second of the game, James Buttermore scores to put it into overtime. So let's talk a little about that, Coach, and just kind of the feelings on the bench.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty even all the way. Lindenwood is a type of team that if they get a one-goal lead, and Illinois is very similar, along with Ohio, those three teams, if they get a one-goal lead, boy, they'll go into a trap type system, a trap type defense, and it's tough to beat. I think we've got the number in all three of those teams now. Against Lindenwood prior to Christmas, we still have a bit of a youthful team with the weighted towards the freshman, sophomore, junior end. Rooney being the only senior. A lot of these teams, Illinois, Ohio, Lindenwood, all have 6 or 8 seniors on the team, along with 6 or 8 juniors. So we're getting awfully close in that direction. And I think in the second half of the season, I think we're going to have a lot of freshmen, sophomore, juniors that are going to play like seniors.
Love to see it. David, from your standpoint, obviously, as Coach mentioned, Brian's the only senior, so you're actually one of the most experienced players on the team as a junior. With your previous experience against Lindenwood to draw upon, how do you feel the team compares this year, facing top opponents like Lindenwood compared to previous years?
I feel like it's very similar to our first year. I feel like we're right with them. The both games we did play them, I feel like we're both competitive teams, and just the outcomes weren't there. So I feel like the next time we play them, there could be different outcomes. So.
And we'll note for fans when David mentioned his first year, the team went to the national championship final against a certain Lindenwood University. So we say very even in that regard. That's definitely a great sign. Obviously, Coach, the weekend after that, the team played the Maple Grove Energy, a junior hockey team. Talk a little bit about once or twice a season, or for series, the team plays a junior team like the Energy or like the Dells Ducks and any number of teams in the past. Talk about why it is the team schedules junior teams out again.
We play 2 or 3 more weekends than a lot of the other ACHA schools, and as such, we fill in with junior teams from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. Whenever we can, and it does 2 things. One, it gives them exposure to Iowa State and what we have to offer here, and most of the teams are very impressed. The second thing that we do is we give the fans an opportunity to see our team play more often than most schools. So that's how we develop the loyalty and the following, and to be quite frank, it helps pay the bills. We're 100% self-sufficient. We pay all our own bills. We pay for the buses and the ice time and the equipment and the meals and the lodging and everything that goes along with it. And it's not cheap these days, to have a bus to take us over to Illinois or Indiana or Ohio. Some of those buses are $5,000 to $6,000 a trip. And so to pay those bills, gate receipts is very, very important. And at the same time, the junior players, by seeing Iowa State, they'll remember us, and maybe they'll come back as students in the future.
We will see. Certainly a number of them were fairly impressive. We'd love to see them on either the D1 or the D3 team. We got to take one more quick commercial break for tonight's show. We'll be right back and talk a little bit more with David Kurbatsky and also preview this weekend's games against the University of Illinois. So we'll see you right after the break. Welcome back, Cyclone fans. We have a great time during the break. One last segment with Coach Alan Murdoch, Dr. Alan Murdoch, and Player of the Week, David Kurbatsky. Obviously, I guess the next obvious question: why is the gentleman here sitting next to you?
Oh, David Kurbatsky, he's an all-around guy. He's a darn good student. He was Dean's List again this semester. What is that, 2, 3 in a row? 3 or 4. He's a pretty humble guy, but he's a real good student. He's the kind of guy we like to recruit, and that was one of the reasons we spied him initially when he was in Winkler, but then he went down to Owatonna, and he's been all over. He's from California originally, so he's kind of our traveling guy, but outstanding student, outstanding hockey player. He's probably one of the best passers on the team. He's got an excellent shot. He's probably one of the best skaters on the team, and he's pretty fearless. He's not afraid to hit players, take checks, and for that reason on the power play a lot of times we have him planted right in front of the net.
Definitely has good finishing ability after your hat trick this weekend. You're now at 15 goals in your 29 games. That puts you right behind J.P. Kasak and John Favel for the team lead. So not doing too poorly in that regard. Did 10 goals in your last 10 games, so you're definitely on a bit of a hot streak. So I guess what would you say have been kind of the key factors behind your success in lighting the lamp the last few weeks?
Just working hard. I have a couple weeks here before league tournaments come up and the national tournament. So it's not just that; it's also my line mates as well. We got Brody back in the lineup, and he's got a great shot back there on the point. So there's a lot of shots going towards the net, which creates the opportunities. And then me and our Feeble and Kooks, we're all just clicking right now. So things are working well.
It's definitely working well. So pass, shoot, and score. So, and as you mentioned, Brody's. I feel sorry for whatever atomic matter gets in front of a Brody Toigo shot. I feel bad for if it hits it, whether it's organic or inanimate. It's going to hurt whatever it hits. So whether the goalie pad or the back of the net or whatnot.
Well, you got me sitting in front of the net, so I gotta watch out for that.
Absolutely, Coach. Obviously, this is not a World University Games year this year, but next year. And the process has changed. David attended the evaluation camp last time around, if memory serves correctly.
That's correct.
Tell fans a little bit about how things have changed, and I guess a little bit what David will need to continue to do to get a look at that.
Believe it or not, all the players in the country are being evaluated right now. Scott Balboni will be the head coach. He's a former head coach at Penn State. And a couple of other coaches are assisting with us to just kind of keep an eye on players. So many people are broadcasting, streaming their games that they're watching a lot of those. They're downloading a lot of those. They're zeroing in on the top 100 players in the country. Application process, there won't be any summer tryout this year. So they're evaluating now. They'll look at the top players in the country. During the summer, our players that have an interest, we'll have a pretty structured program for them on the ice as well as off the ice. Going into the fall, then final evaluations will be made of players across the country, and there'll be an application process the month before Thanksgiving. By Thanksgiving, they will have selected the top 44 players in the country, and there'll be a mini camp next Christmas break for those 44 players. And believe it or not, the intent is those 44 will come in, and in 2 days they'll cut to 22. So they'll cut it right in half. There'll be a couple of exhibition games against Division I NCAA programs like Bowling Green. Adrian has a varsity program as well. We'll be playing them. Penn State is going to be Division I NCAA scholarship this next year. They're on the pre-tournament schedule. And then it will be late January, the last week of January, first week of February. Team will be off to Slovenia. The team has done better every time. It's been more competitive. I think someone like Kurbatsky, someone like Brandon Clark, will have as good an opportunity as anyone because they went to the evaluation camp this last go-around. Eric Hudson was selected. Matt Cohn attended. And I think we had one other player that attended as well. But I think Clark and Kurbatsky will have a good shot at it. And I quite frankly, I think I called about 18 Americans into the room to say, hey, they've got the opportunity. The only ones that weren't invited in to talk about it here right after Christmas break were the Canadians, because they're not eligible. Antti Alanto, because he's from Finland, but I've talked to him about being on the Finnish team. And then Rooney, unfortunately, graduating. So all the rest of the guys will have a good shot at it, and we're excited about it.
Certainly. Well, I guess, Coach, to round things out, talk a little bit about what we can look forward to for this weekend's games against the Fighting Illini?
Oh, man, it's going to be end-to-end action. If you can't get in a car or a bus or a plane and get to Illinois, I'd watch it on America One. Go to our website and tune in. It's going to be a great series, Friday night and Saturday night at 7:30, and then back home with Robert Morris University, another top-ranked team here, following weekend before we go back to Lindenwood and then Central Oklahoma. Holy cow, it's going to be really good.
There's going to be a very competitive schedule, and if you're watching us from in town, we certainly encourage you to take a look at, watch the games while getting some pizza from Pizza Pit, perhaps.
You bet. Best pizza in town. We love all of our sponsors, and Pizza Pit has been around with us a long time. And their pizza is so darn good that you can smell it coming in the door. We have pizza brought right to the studio, and holy cow, if I were someone watching this show, I'd be getting on the phone right now and calling Pizza Pit, because it is the best pizza in the country, and I can smell it coming in right in the door. Pizza Pit is #1.
All right, fans. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for tonight's show. We'll see you again.